Chapter 22-2. Worries and Trust. The next morning, I was planning the concert in my office. Application was needed to hire the venue. The marketing department needed to begin the evaluation process. And I needed to talk to the choreography team. I said, "What a troublesome idea." 7 asked in shocked. "What? A concert? No way. Too much has happened in the city and you need to rest." Kiro said. 7, I know what you're worrying about. But I've been thinking it through for some time. It's not an impulsive idea. This is what I should do. Kiro stared straight into 7's eyes as he said determinedly. 7 remained silent and hesitated, but he eventually turned around to drive off, refusing to negotiate. 7 reply. No way. I turned to Kiro to search for a sign of impulsiveness or anything else other than determination. But I found nothing other than a peaceful earnestness in his eyes. After pondering for a moment, I spoke up. We can go through the professional assessment to see if it's feasible before we veto it. I stared at 7's widened eyes in the review mirror as I continued. 7, I trust that Kiro has thought it through. 7 said, but. I understood what 7 wanted to say, but I interrupted gently. 7, I understand your worries, but if you think about it, a concert might just be what our society needs right now. Because music is powerful in a special way. After a long silence, a deep sigh finally sounded. 7 said. Okay. I continue. But only if you really want to finish it. I turned to Kiro. The warm sun highlighted his features and brightened the enthusiasm in his eyes. Kiro replied. Of course. I rubbed my sore eyes and turned my full attention back to the preparation plan. After consulting many professionals overnight, we received many suggestions and advice. I agreed to Kiro's idea out of trust, but many issues were to be thought through. We couldn't prepare this concert based on our past experience considering Kiro's ears and. I stared and sighed at the words on the document - concert theme, undecided. Everything else could be tackled step by step, but I needed to know what Kiro wanted the theme to be. A cold breeze ruffled my hair. When I got up to shut the window, I spotted the empty road with fallen leaves. This winter was especially cold, which only made the depressing city more lifeless. The tension between normal people and evolvers had never been worse ever since the charity soccer match and the game of hunters. Events with an aim to rebuild homes, like Golden Apple, were too small-scale to diffuse the tension. There had been an increasing demand for legislation to keep evolvers at bay. Some people even employed radical means to attract the public's attention. There seemed to be invisible clouds shrouding the city under the blue sky. A knock sounded at the door before 7 came barging in. 7 said, Joyce, I've had some thought about it. I still think we shouldn't go ahead with this concert. It's too risky. There was a deep frown and dark circles under 7's eyes. He probably hadn't slept all night. Before I could say anything, he had already placed a risk assessment file on my desk. 7 said. I've compiled all the risks we could face. Firstly, Kiro is known to be an evolver who was involved in the assault incident. I know it's been dealt with, but there's a chance that people will bring it up again at this time and even make him the typical example of evolvers. The most important thing is that there's no knowing how much attention Kiro will draw. It could easily be manipulated maliciously. It'll only bring a loss to the Griffin's company and even irreversible damage to Kiro's future. People will only see him with the labels they put on him without caring about what he is like. I flipped through the files as I listened. Despite how professional and comprehensive 7's analysis and concerns were, they weren't what I hadn't considered. Joyce, please try to convince Kiro with me again. I said. 7, calm down. I interrupted him politely as I showed him my computer screen and clicked on the plan I had prepared overnight. I have considered everything you just said and made plans to minimize the risks. I didn't veto it because holding a concert isn't inherently wrong. It's a right and simple idea. I understand how important it is to consider the risks, but I don't want to prevent Kiro from moving forward. 7 skimmed through my plan quietly with a serious look. 7 said. I understand that this is what Kiro wants to do. I'd love to support him, but I'm just worried about him. I said. Don't worry. I'll talk to him. After a pause, I spoke up again with more earnestness. 7. The fact that Kiro decided to face his situation means he's ready. I trust that he knows what is ahead of him. Of course. The determination in his earnest ocean eyes surfaced in my head. He seemed fearless in the face of what could be a fierce storm. So we had no reason to fear.